Good evening. I'm going to call this Board of Health meeting to order at 6:30 PM. If everyone could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Up next will be accepting the minutes of the April 24th meeting.
Make a motion to accept the minutes from April 24th's meeting.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Up next is Region 2 Emergency Preparedness. Nothing to report this evening. So we'll move on to number 4. Number 4, we have Maureen Lee from Mogen Solutions Software for a presentation. Hey, welcome. You can come right up.
So I'd just like to introduce myself. I'm Maureen Lee with Mogen Solutions. Jim Lee, who is our software developer, and treasurer. So we're a family-run business. We do have a few people who work with us who are not have the last name Lee. But I gave each of you a packet, an information packet. And before I get started, if you could just, I just want to so there's just a little introduction about us, and behind that is a position paper that talks about using inspection software that you may want to review later. In the very back of your packet, there are a couple of attachments. So I wanted to bring to your attention, first of all, the routine inspection and the re-inspection. We have both of those. They're at the very back. There you go. And there you go. Okay. So each of these. So this is the final product for the 1999. Okay, so this is the final product. And I just want to point out, because we're going to be referring to it later, you'll see right up here, it says routine inspection. And then the other one, it says re-inspection on that upper left-hand corner. Okay? And the other way that you can tell it's a re-inspection is right after the establishment name, there's a little @ sign. That sign is always meaning that it's a re-inspection. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention in the back of the packet is you have a sample of a history report. So the establishment has been blanked out, but this is what a history report would look like. And this particular one is a history report that was run for routine inspections. Now, history reports could be run for if you wanted to see how you were doing for cooling compliance within the town. You could run a report on cooling, or anything, any criteria you selected, you would be able to run different history reports. All right. So those are our attachments, and I'm just going to put those aside for now. So before we begin to move through the packet for the software, I just wanted to get an idea of what are you using right now for your inspections?
Tom.
Are you handwriting?
Handwriting, state forms.
The state forms, 2 or 3 part forms?
Right.
Okay, all right. And then, what are you using in terms of entering your code numbers and that type of thing? What I call the cheat sheet that comes under Mass State?
As far as the secondary report form,
Yeah,
that's all we do is just
Okay.
enumerate and describe each one of the
each one
problems.
of those. Okay,
That's all we do.
okay, I know exactly what you mean. Okay, and then, so what are you looking for in terms of what features might you like regarding your software?
Well,
Refer to Tom for this.
I suppose our objective is to get everybody to 0 violations.
Okay.
And we know that there may be some minors. There's always violations out there, whether they know it or not. And, I suppose the thing to do, I think that like many communities, or many communities I've worked in, all we're looking to do is make sure there's the requisite number of, a minimal number of violations, and then let them continue to operate, and try to correct them as we go along. But I like the idea for the information gathering. That would be pretty good to be able to say, okay, it appears as though not only one, but several places, their weakness is temperature controls, or thermometers, or whatever, and be able to target those individuals.
Okay, so that's very helpful. So let me just give you a little bit of background. So I know I've been before the board before as food service solutions.
Yes.
So effective July 1, we are changing to Mogen Solutions, which means all of our health department, all of those will also transfer over to Mogen Solutions. So we are a family-run business. We have been in business for 20 years. And one of the things that we do is we contract with local cities and towns and we do their inspections. We also contract with food establishments doing third-party audits or helping them get in compliance with the regulations that the board and the Board of Health have. We also teach Serve Safe, and we also teach classes that the health department sponsor. And what I mean by that is we teach a person in charge class that the establishment owners and their persons in charge will come to. We teach emergency preparedness in a variety of ways. The emergency preparedness one came in very handy this past winter. That was very timely, that one. So in regards to the software, so like I said, we've been doing inspections with local health departments for a number of years. And what happened was, I was doing the inspections, writing on those 3-part forms. Now that's all I do, or was doing, Monday through Friday. It was pretty much a full-time job. And I started to have a lot of pain in my arm from that writing and trying to get through those 3-part forms. And Jim and I started to work on software to help put those reports together. And that's where we started. And now what I'm going to go over with you is what we've grown into. Okay. So I'm out there actually using this software every single day. And our inspectors are doing that also. And we're using the software, not just in establishments, but we are out at the temporary events. We're at the farmers markets. We're in the basements of establishments. And we are still going through and compiling reports. Now, I can tell you, I'll share with you, that our business model is such that we are compensated by inspection, not by time. So, I want to be able to open my screen. I do my inspection. When I compile the report, I want to be able to open my screen, put the information in, capture the signature, print it out without problems, review it with them, and then leave and go to my next inspection. Okay. I don't want to have to go back to the office to compile a report or anything. It all gets done right there, complete, print out, or some communities are having us email the reports now. Whatever you decide, you have either function available. Okay. Any questions so far? No? Okay. All right. So if we could just take a look at your inspection overview. So the first thing here in terms of the benefits of technology, we've touched on some of that, but as you know, your reports are orders to correct. It's a legal document. And it's the responsibility of the inspector of the health department to make sure that we're following along with due process for the establishment. So that's why it's important that that report is compiled correctly and all the necessary information is in the report. It also means that you know, from time to time, you may have to take further action, enforcement action with an establishment, and you want to make sure that you have all your documentation in line before you go ahead and proceed with additional enforcement action. In terms of increased efficiency, now, increased efficiency touches on your admin staff as well as your inspectors and also your food establishments. So if I can direct you to the inspection report. So in terms of efficiency, I have to tell you that software will not help you do your inspection any faster. You still have to take temperatures, you still need to go into the walk-in, have conversation, ask questions. Those things are never going to go away. But it will help you to be able to compile your reports faster and leave a legible report that people are able to read and has all the needed information. So if you look at the second page here on your routine inspection report, you can see that we give you, first of all, the observation. This is put in by the inspector. And then using the software, they have a pull-down box where they select the appropriate code. And this is a summary of the code. Then when you select that code, it automatically puts the code number in there. You see the little asterisk after the D. That's an indicator that it's a critical violation. Okay, so when people say to you, what's critical? You can just point that right out to them. And then, as you build your report time, your page 2, it automatically tallies on the cover sheet. It checks off. So when you pick that code, it automatically checks it off on the cover sheet, and it automatically tallies. Now, at the very bottom of page 2, you'll see the closing statement that says correct critical violations immediately. This is a closing statement from one particular health department, but you can customize this and put whatever you want on it. And then, as well as you can put other statements, depending upon what you may be doing or maybe you plan on doing. So I can tell you, some of the ones that we have used in the past is when we had an outbreak a while back. It was the one with the tomatoes. But it would also be true for both the egg and the romaine outbreak, is to put that statement in here. What are you doing for recall notices? Who do you contact? How do you sign up for automatic recalls? And the health department is saying, you know what? For the next 6 months, we want that statement on every single report. So it automatically went into the report, and now the inspector has that prompt to have the conversation with them. Okay, so those are some of the things that your software will do. Do you have any questions on that? No? Okay. So as I mentioned, reports can either be printed or emailed. And the other thing is, we'll get that. That's on the very next page. On the very next page, you'll see that this is what the screen looks like when you're actually entering your information. So if you wanted to, you can insert a picture. And if you were looking at your computer, I don't know if you can pull up one that has a picture on it so that I can enlarge it. If you just tap on this, then the picture enlarges so you can see the whole thing.
So he's doing this inspection with the tablet, and he can just hit the camera and take a picture of what he's looking at right at the moment.
Exactly.
And it'll show up on the report.
That's neat.
Right.
Yep.
So here you go. So that's enlarged. So that's what it looks like. So this right here, let me back up a little bit. Whoops, without trying to press anything. So this is where you enter, this is your observation box, when you do your typing on food code. I need to get rid of these other pictures. So now I'm clicking. Okay, so right here is where you would retrieve for selecting your code violations. Okay, so you would just put your observation in, ask yourself, am I going to find that in food, am I going to find it in equipment, find your violations, click on it, it automatically inserts it, you take your picture, and then you just save, and you go on to your next violation.
I like that.
Does Tom like that?
Yeah.
Tom, I can see you
I mean, you know,
carrying a
obviously,
tablet
there's a lot
around
of-
with you.
There's a little bit of training that's gonna have to go along with it.
Of course,
Right, right.
of course.
So I can tell you, right, because you're right, I only have 2 hands. Now I need a thermometer, an alcohol wipe, now I've got to take a picture. Unfortunately, I didn't bring it, but we use straps that connect to our boxes. So our otter boxes that are around here, and we have 2 things. So one is a strap. I like the strap because it's just like carrying it on the side. It's a cross strap. So when I'm doing an inspection, I'm taking a picture or I'm doing a re-inspection, all I have to do is pull my computer up and take it, and then I can just drop it and keep going. The other thing we have is a glove. So there's a glove that attaches to the back here that I can just slide my hand in, and I can do whatever. I can take pictures. But you're right.
Now you go and take a picture and then you go back and make your notes afterwards? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
You
So
can
that's
do
what I
that, just take your picture
'cause I
and go
can-
back and,
Right, 'cause
and
I carry it like this.
and then make
So
all
if I
your
wanted
notes
to-
after, go sit down and type in your notes.
So I carry it in a strap.
Yeah.
And then if I'm taking my notes, so my hands are free, it's on the strap, and on my hands, I'm taking my notes, taking my temperatures and whatever. If I come across something that I want to take a picture of, I just pull it up and save it. And then let it go, and then I just keep going. When I sit down, then I can just click through and I see the picture, all I have to do is enter the observation and save it. Now I can tell you, this gentleman here behind me,
There's 2 of them.
yes. Jim, what he does is he uses the glove, and he does not take notes when he's doing his inspections. He takes pictures.
Just take a picture and save it.
Well, that's-
Picture and save, that's what we just said.
And then go back later.
And then
I
he goes
have
back
a
there.
picture and notes when I sit down, it goes with picture, and then type my observation, which is described in the
Right.
In the
picture.
picture.
Right.
So you have
That's
to,
right up my alley.
everybody,
That makes more sense. Then
Yeah.
you don't miss anything either. You can't miss anything by doing it that way.
right. So
I've got a
everybody
fairly
has
good
to-
memory on of why I took the picture, but,
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways, you just have to get out there and get comfortable, but those are the different, tools that we have that you can customize the routine for yourself. That's what we have found to be comfortable.
I like that.
All right. And you can see from this snapshot that, this is your pull-down box, so you go to hold it, you pick it, it puts it right in here, the code, and then, like I said, it carries that right over onto the cover sheet. It puts in all your code numbers and everything. Okay. And so this is just showing you holding and the code number, but if you tap on that, it's going to tell you what the
we'll
regulation
print the whole thing
says.
out, the whole regulation out.
Oh, that's
And that's kind of what we do with our housing inspections. I do my observation, I just make the note of what the citation is.
Mhm.
And when I have the notes made, converted to longhand, all she does is just copy and paste the codes in the computer. So
Mhm.
this is just a faster step, that's all. Much faster step.
Okay, and then the second page here is just showing you what the screenshot looks like, where you're filling out your page. You know, you're entering the establishment information, everything that comes up on that first page of the inspection report. But a couple things I want to bring to your attention. So the other feature is it will list for you all of your inspections that you have done over the prior years, as well as what you have currently done. So you're carrying your history with you. And you can look that history up either by looking at a food establishment or by looking at establishment by date. So if you're sitting there and you're saying to yourself, wait a second, I'm pretty sure that, the slicer was not clean the last time I was here, and the time before that. All you have to do is go into your history, pull it up, review the report, and then you're done.
That's nice.
And this shot does not show the other bar, the sidebar, that tells you when your reinspection is due. So if you determine that you use 10 days as a reinspection, again, the report will automatically put that 10 days in. And then in 10 days, your report will come up with a little R next to it, meaning a reinspection is ready for reinspection. So all you have to do is look at your sidebars and you know, okay, where do I need to go today?
I don't, the one thing I don't like to do is let the client know that exactly what day I'm coming back. I give them a 10-day turnaround time. I might go back 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 6 weeks later. I might go 10. But I don't want them to think that, well, you weren't here on time, so I didn't bother
Right.
making a correction.
And we have a couple of communities that will put that 10-day date and then say or after. So again, you can customize those things to how your inspection program is set up. Okay. All right, now the next thing I just want to mention to you, in terms of increased compliance.
One of the questions before we go any further, the establishment information screenshot. Is there any way to have a general index with the names of all of the facilities that we have, and then have all this information already loaded?
Yes, there is.
So I can call up
So you
the,
must have permit information, or if you need permitting to be attached to this, you can attach permitting also for your food establishments if you don't have a permitting program. Because this can enter your permits. You can merge the two and do your permits also, if you want that.
well, that's, because we do permits, we issue hard copy permit. We make them fill out a new application every year. And
But that would be
something
good.
like this would be really beneficial. It would save a lot of time,
Sure.
instead of the redundancy of filling out all of the site information on every single place. If I could just turn the computer on and there it is, or turn the tablet on and it's right there, do my inspection, get in and out. Particularly, the food service establishments is one thing, but the retail stores, I don't generally see much more than a 5 or 10 minute inspection. It's a quick walkthrough, make sure that bathrooms are in order, and make sure that the place is neat and habitable, and usually on a strip mall, it's more than one facility for the rubbish outside, so.
Okay. So to answer your question, yes. But the other thing is, if you have an Excel program where you list the establishment, the phone number, and all that data, so we can just take that and preload this for you. So then all you have to do is, again, they'll show up in your sidebar here. So if you're going to Mary's Place, you just click on Mary's Place, it'll automatically load for you. The
That's
only
good.
thing you have to put in is who's the person in charge today. It'll automatically put the date in, and all you have to do is put the time.
It doesn't have a clock in it. What good is it?
Well, if you.
Being facetious, that's all.
I asked him to take it off for me.
Oh,
I like to put
oh,
my
you
own
don't want
time.
people to know what time you're in there.
I like to put my own time.
Okay.
But it will automatically go in if that's the way you want it. Yeah.
It sounds like.
It does. Sounds good.
Well, just think of the savings, the annual savings that we have to go through every year,
Yes.
of having to generate paper all over again when it is a simple matter of hitting the button that it's renewed.
Right.
Edit and renew.
So slide number 6, increased compliance. So, like I mentioned, there's any type of software is not going to make your inspection perfect. However, when I have found that having the summaries of the regulations, now I can have a conversation with the establishment. My goal, and I've been doing inspections, is to break that loop where we don't see violations, and get them corrected, and come back and it's the same violation, just do it round and round. So having that conversation and working with them at the very beginning, whether it's giving them a little bit of education, pointing them in the right direction, giving them resources, or explaining to them about the code, goes a long way in terms of compliance. But when you have the summary of the code there and it says you're missing the allergen statement, and the summary says to put in, please inform the server if anyone in your party has a food allergy, the statement is right there. It's provided for you. There's no confusion. And you can have that conversation with them. And when you come back, things are corrected. When they've got it posted, they know what it is. As opposed to just saying, here's the code number, and you need the allergen statement, and you need. So this really allows for that active managerial control component. It gives you the tools and the information that you need when they're at the inspection to be able to have that conversation with the person in charge and help move them forward. The other thing that is helpful is I also carry a number of printouts, whether it's hand washing or something like how to clean slicers and a variety. So when I print out the report, if they need anything like that, I think it would be helpful, or they're looking for resources, I simply print that out and give it to them. And I carry multiple languages, so if there's a meeting, they're available. Now, in terms of improved communication, so it's going to be giving you a printed inspection report. So that's improved communication right now. There are many times that when I was writing that report, a couple days later, really looking at it and now, what should this say? And I don't think anybody can really avoid that, especially when you're doing as many inspections as you have to do. But it also gives you, because your inspections are in a PDF format, you have corporate call, or you work with the person in charge and you have an owner call, I can send you that report right now. Somebody doesn't need to get up, go to the file, take it out, scan it. You can send it off to them. If you have board members that are preparing and you want to give them reports for their packets, again, it's PDF, you can just send it over. If you want to start to post your reports online, that's not a problem either. And make them available to citizens. But everybody, your admin person, your inspector, will have an electronic version that is right there at the desktop. If there are any questions, you get a phone call, just a second, let me pull up that report, pull it right up on your desktop. If pictures were taken, you've got pictures, you've got the whole story right in front of you. Town managers and mayors find that very helpful to them. All right, so the big thing that we should really put an asterisk again next to on page 7 is that our reports are not web dependent. So that's why we don't need to come back to the office to write the report or to send the report or to do anything. It's Microsoft based and it's not working. Because believe me, I could not be out in the fields at some of the temporary events that I go to and complete their reports. And we could do that. Or be down in the basement and be able to click, yes, that's corrected, click it on the screen, have it update, and move on to the next violation. I'm not dependent on web access. And so everything gets done there, and then you're done.
So you're carrying the whole file right there. Carrying the whole file, everything, past history and everything is right in the, right there in the tablet.
As well as on my tablet, I carry, so because we work in 5 different communities, I carry 5 different communities. That's a lot of history. And I've never had a problem in terms of how fast it works or, accessing history or anything, or having to remove history so my tablet works, my computer works. Now, in terms of data, on page 8, so as I mentioned, depending upon whatever criteria you're looking for, if you want to look at trends, if you want to look at a history report for an establishment over the last 2 years, you can generate those reports, whatever it means. You're putting together your end of the year report for the Department of Public Health, and you want to know, okay, how many routines, how many temporaries, how many inspections did we do in each of these areas? Whatever the criteria, you can run a report and extract that. Especially that's helpful when it comes budget time, particularly if you're trying to advocate for additional budget. So there was one other thing that I wanted to mention to you. Okay, and then the last page. So this last page here in the presentation, so it has all of our information, our contact information, our website that you can go to take a look at anything extra. So the other thing that I wanted to mention to you is that, so what's loaded on, so in Massachusetts, right, like 1999, then we have 105 CMR that has bed and breakfast, temporaries, caterers, and everything. Then we have frozen desserts, and we have labeling. So all of those codes are loaded on there. And I believe I put on here. Yes, I did. Okay. So on here, on page 2, your routine, this last one, which is the menu recently changed in the allergen statement. So you see that these code numbers are federal, but you can see down here, this code number is 590, which is the allergen. So all of the individual codes and the applicable codes are loaded in here for the inspector to be able to access. So frozen desserts isn't in the food code, but if you go into an establishment and you're not doing your testing, and you need to cite that in your soft serve machines, frozen desserts is in there for you to be able to cite those. And then there's also a list, a checklist, that if you wanted to use for temporaries, the challenge with temporaries is when we're out in the field, they want to get the inspections done as soon as possible. they want us out of the way before the event starts. But at the same time, you need food there before you can really do an inspection, have a very short window. So we try to make it as efficient as possible, and what we have is a temporary supplement that's sort of like a checklist. You know, so hand washing available, in, out. Okay, so you're just in, out, yes, no, and you're moving on. You can still put your observations in, you can still put your violations in, but it's just an additional tool if you want to use it to facilitate the inspection process with that particular type of environment. Okay. Now, pools are also loaded on here, so pool inspections are in there. And we are currently working on housing and recreational parks. Those will be coming also. So the form that you're looking at right now, I know this is live, unfortunately. The form that you're looking at right now is the 1999 food code from the Mass website. But we also have the 2013 food code, which Massachusetts will be going to. So that form is already in there, in that format, which is now going to require in, out, NA, NO, corrected on site, and repeats. There's 5 different columns that, or 6 different columns that need to be checked off every time.
For each and every component of the inspection?
For your risk factors.
Okay.
But the risk factors have also been increased. I think this one is a 26. I think we have, what, 22 risk factors
22,
on
yeah.
this one. The 2013 food code goes to 56 risk factors. And instead of having criticals and non-criticals, we now have priority foundation 4.
And when does that come in?
Yeah. So Massachusetts, we're still waiting for an answer for that, but we do have several communities that are using the 2013 currently. And we work with Arlington, so Arlington is going to 2013 in January, and Marlborough is going to 2013 in June. And they're waiting to hear from the state. Should be soon. So all of that would be ready to go when the state does that to the 2013. Any questions that I can answer?
Do you have any?
You want a demo to go out? Do you want to tonight to sit and do a report? You're welcome to do one. I
No,
can show you, or if you want me to come at another time when you have a few minutes.
I think at this point, it's digest what you presented and then throw some bread on the water and see what kind of reception we're going to get and give us a number, a rough number, what we should expect.
Yep. So a license so there's licensing that's involved. So the license for a food inspector is $1,200 for the year. And the license for the admin is
$18 or $1,800?
per year.
So we're looking at $3,000 a year.
And then you're looking at some startup costs, because there will be costs that's involved to sit down and train. But then you tell us what your needs are from that point on, before we can give you a price.
And
So
hardware?
if you wanted hardware,
Well, I mean, it's hardware, it's going to be necessary.
hardware package.
Hardware,
We don't have a tablet right now. It runs on
No, we
anything
don't.
that's Microsoft based.
Tom doesn't even have a computer right now.
Okay.
Right now, I don't.
All right, so we're looking at a package to be what?
yeah, hardware, when you need
Oh, he
is
wants
about
a tablet
50,
coming loaded.
Okay, and the printer?
and printer is 300
Yep.
to carry.
How much was I'm sorry, the tablet?
15 plus 3, so
15 and
just
3,
under
so
2,000.
$2,000 for,
2,000, yeah.
and that's a mobile printer as well. And
Sorry.
the printer is it's a mobile printer?
Mobile printer, yeah.
Okay.
Mobile
Sorry,
printer.
I didn't
find out all the
prices.
It's a Bluetooth wireless printing.
All right.
Right, so you don't need to plug into anything.
So you're looking at pretty much without the training, $5,000
For the
That's what they're
first
saying.
year.
for the first year,
Because
just
of that,
email it
and
to
then
them.
after that, you give it again free.
You can,
3,000 after that.
So one of the things you may want to consider, this is, are you involved in the standards program? Have you discussed the standards program, the National Voluntary Retail Standards Program by the FDA?
No.
Okay, so enrolling in the standards program, there are 9 different standards that the FDA has to have a standardized food inspection program. When you enroll in the standards, you do not need to do every single standard. You work on the standards that you feel will best enhance your food inspection program or that are needed by the community. So it could be outreach, it could be a uniform inspection program, getting inspectors trained, whatever you need. But one of those standards is having an electronic inspection system, and there are grants available for purchasing equipment and for training staff. And the grants are, they're very easy to apply for. They come up routinely. I'm going to the standards, the FDA has a sharing session routinely. And I work in, like I mentioned, Arlington and Marlboro, and both of them are involved in the standards program that we work with them on different standards. And you can apply for a grant. And if you need additional information for that, I'm happy to help you with it.
Okay.
that would be helpful.
That would be very good. Excellent. Do you have any other questions?
Got a couple of hours, but other than that, I think it's,
Let's work through what we've got here.
I think what we've got
Grant
is,
information, if Teresa can look that up for us, so we can get just where we need to send Teresa to for the grant
Sure.
information.
Okay, so we're gonna send Teresa an email for grant information for the standards. Okay, sure, that would be great. Okay.
be wonderful. Thank you very
All
much.
right, well, thank you very much. I
Thanks,
realize now
appreciate
it's-
your time.
Oh, no, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Again, we appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you
you.
again.
Okay. Okay, so, moving on to item number 5 is 6 Wysocki Drive, Stonegate Condominiums, a housing complaint. So we were, originally this was put on the agenda because someone was going to be coming to speak in front of us. They have since decided not to come, but we do have some discussion regarding the complaints that have been going on at 6 Wysocki.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Good night, thanks.
First of all, just as a brief history, there's been ongoing series of complaints with 6 Wysocki Drive that we've been addressing some certain issues with dogs and tenant disputes and then some tenant landlord or tenant management complaints. A lot of it is something that we couldn't handle regularly because these are private condominiums. And I guess according to the state, the only thing that would be applicable would be any of the common spaces where we would have some jurisdiction to go in and do inspections and follow-ups. The latest series of complaints were addressed, not necessarily to the complainant's satisfaction. It went to the state. The state ended up with a trickle-down coming back to me, and we ended up going in and re-inspecting and making a notation for every one of the complaint issues. Again, we looked at all of them. We found About the only thing that was really an issue would be some leaking cellar windows. We checked with the building inspector, and we gave the management company a verbal in a 2-week period to seal the windows up and make them watertight, which they've agreed to do. They've already taken step 1 to do that, and now this week, within the next week, they'll have the windows sealed, plexiglassed and sealed, to address that issue. All of the other issues of bad air and mold and all of that were unfounded. Creaky stairs, we found that the stairs were more than adequate. I had the building inspector with me, and we went in and made all the observations and found that about the only thing that really needed to be addressed was the cellar windows. And that takes care of 6 by Saki Drive, I think, at this point.
I went there yesterday. In preparation for the meeting, I wanted to just walk around and see, because I know we've had a number of complaints over the last couple of years. So I went in and I looked at all the same things that you looked at, and found no standing water, no, cracks in the foundation, but there's really no issues with them. There was a repair at some point in one of them, but otherwise there's no water penetrating through
Right,
anything.
there's no leaks or any of that.
We're in the rainy season, so you would expect if it's going to be wet, it would be wet now. A water heater oozing, I didn't see that. But again, those are unit owner water heaters, and if they break, they've got to replace them. If it's oozing, then it's going to break, and therefore it'll have to be replaced. So,
I didn't see any
but I didn't
signs
see any signs of anything like that. One had a little rust on it, but it was, again, if it's working, it's working. Mold, I didn't see any. I actually thought it was pretty dry down there for considering. So the air seemed fine to me, and I even looked in the dumpster, which was fine. And again, if a tenant in any of the other units throws something in there, it's really between them and the trash company. So I saw nothing there. I did go to the wrong building first, so I ended up at Unit 6, which is Building 3, and I'll say nothing about that. Although maybe the building department might want to look at the railings on that building because they're falling off.
Okay, anything else on that one?
I think at this point, and I'll give you the final summation on the window repair at the next meeting, but I spoke to the management company tonight, and he's assured me that it'll be fixed within a week. So the windows will be finally sealed within a week.
And we've had good communication with them, and they've been responsive at this point to addressing anything that we've discussed.
I'm on a text message with them and telephone conversations as I need it. So.
Beautiful. Okay. Up next, number 6, review of a variance request for Webster First Federal Credit Union renovation drinking water fountain location.
Yes. I guess pursuant to the plumbing code, the drinking fountains are supposed to be placed in the facilities, but it appears as though, not sure whether they want to eliminate it or relocate it. I think they wanted to eliminate it. Which, based on our recent observations with the schools, with drinking fountains and how they've had problems with the water and contaminated water from lead or any of the other issues that's been in the schools. What'll happen is, because they don't use them, long-term use, when you expose water to some of the metals, you'll get a slow dissolution rate, and you'll start to see higher concentrations of water of metals in the water. And I'm not a big fan of drinking fountains anymore. I think that bottled water would if they're gonna do anything, bottled water would be the more acceptable of the two, but.
Does the existing building have a water fountain?
That's what I was trying to think. There's gotta be one somewhere.
The little one where Carter's office?
Yes.
Oh, I haven't seen one.
That I'm not sure, let's see.
It could be in the back or something.
Yeah.
Usually it would be right out in the.
Are they asking for a water fountain or asking to remove the water fountain and not have one?
As far as I know, they're looking to eliminate it.
I order them to have
We're requesting that.
water, bottled water and a Keurig.
What they're requesting, the last line of the communication, we're requesting that the requirement for a drinking fountain be waived in this small branch bank. It's under use group B. So it appears as though there's a state regulation that requires them to have it, but the Board of Health can
We can waive.
waive that and allow it to be waived.
They don't have a public restroom, do they?
Yeah, yes, they do.
There's a public
They
restroom?
have to.
No.
As a matter of fact, that they have a unisex one, and then they have, a unisex, public, and 2 privates, as well as a slop sink and a custodian's closet.
So do we want to entertain a motion?
Is there any more discussion that needs to be taken about the water
Well,
fountain?
if we make a motion, then we can do
All
discussion.
right, I make a motion to allow the variance where they don't have to have a water fountain.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
What would the need be to have a water fountain?
It probably was just in the plumbing. It's been in the plumbing code for so long.
It's a plumbing
that-
code issue.
That any
But the
public-
plumbing code they'll waive it if the Board of Health, they'll waive the requirement as long as the Board of Health agrees. So if the Board of Health waives it, it's like, some of the other facilities that require, handicap access bathrooms. I think they finally changed the code, but, there were bathrooms, and then you had to have a handicap access one as well. But one of the others was to waive the requirement for 2 separates, and then to have them as a combination units of handicap access female and handicap access male, or unisex, and 2 of those. But that's all we're requesting on here, so.
So the motion is to waive the requirement to have a water fountain
Right, to grant them the variance.
in their lobby. So,
Right. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Great. Up next, number 7, Earth Day recap. Earth Day was held on April 28th. It was a very good, very successful overall, but we're hoping in the future to continue to grow Earth Day. We have collected approximately 1,425 pounds of trash, and we also got 18 tires. I'd like to send out a thank you to the Last Green Valley. They helped with the funding of supplies, Dippin' Donuts for the snacks, groups from the Boys and Girls Club, Calvary Assembly of God Church, and there were so many other individual volunteers. We really appreciate, we all were down there that day. Saw a lot of trash coming in towards the end. My only thing is, if we do go forward with this, discussing with budgets and things like that, is that perhaps we have the bags available the week or 2 weeks prior, and you can pick them up at the Board of Health office. Because I think it is difficult for people to pick up the bags at 8 in the morning and go out and clean up an area. You know, have a designated time for, like, I don't know, 10 to 2 for trash drop-off. and prior, have a couple, have the bags available for 2 weeks at the Board of Health office. Just something for the future, if we continue and we
And
get
if
funding.
anybody really wants to pick up trash, they can't do it on Earth Day. If they want to do it over the course of that weekend,
Anytime,
just call us where the bags are, and then we can get them picked up.
most definitely.
There's so much trash out there. There's still so much trash out there.
And it's amazing what they've done, what people went out and did for us. It was great. But I would like to get more people involved next year if we continue with this.
Yeah, earlier.
Yes, yeah. So those are just my thoughts on it.
Yeah, more, people from town, people that work for the town. That'd be great if they could help on Earth Day. That'd be
Yes.
fantastic.
We need to, continue.
Make it a big event.
Yes, yes. So we'll work on that, and, put that forward for the next year. And
Dudley Pride.
yes, there you go. All right. Up next, the fee schedule review. Remember last month, it was brought up about reviewing the fee schedule. Did anybody take it? I guess not.
Looks great.
Do you have any?
Perused it.
Do
There
we
were
want
a
to?
couple of issues Teresa had with it, so
Okay.
I might suggest that we postpone it
Yeah, we'll just carry over to next month.
for the next month.
If you need,
Along with,
Teresa can get you another one.
along with the agent's contract, so.
Yes, I need to get the budget to find out what numbers to put in your contract, but I'm working on that.
Thank you.
Up next, health inspector report.
Okay. We've had a little bit of flurry of activity for soil testing. We've had one new lot we tested for and 7 repairs. We've been out doing perk testing for that, as well as a flurry of housing inspections and complaints, and everything has been addressed at some point or in some form or fashion, either through notice of violation or direct telephone conversation. We've gotten some action already. We've opened a few doors as far as communication links with particularly one of the banks. Banks are very difficult to get a hold of with their foreclosures, and we managed to trip up a couple of phone calls, and we were supposed to have a couple of visitors tonight, but it appears as though many of our issues are already been addressed, and they're non-issues. And that's about all I have right now.
Okay. Any questions for Tom? No? Okay.
I'm good.
Moving on, I have the clerk's report here. There were 2 temporary food permits issued, 1 full-time, no installers, haulers permits issued, 4 housing complaints, 2 nuisance complaints, 4 inspections performed. We had 5 perk apps, so spring is in the air. All right, moving on, under old business. So last month, we discussed about sending a letter to the Southbridge Board of Health regarding some debris that was trickling downstream into Dudley from the housing complex down in Southbridge. And we did receive a letter back from Andy Pelletier, who is the Director of Inspection Services, that he did go out, he did agree there was an issue. He had them clean up the area, take care of it, and he's been out several times since, and it's been looking very good. He did, by all means, if there's anything additional, we can let him know. So it was nice. We appreciate him responding so quickly and taking care of that.
Mhm.
And we did let Ken know, because he was the one who brought it to our attention. And then also, Serve Safe. We had discussed last month about doing Serve Safe training.
Mm-hmm.
You were interested.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't know, you weren't sure.
No, I'm interested.
Okay. So, and were you, are you?
I'm current on mine.
Okay. So I had Teresa do a little looking into to see how long the class was. It's 3 hours. It seems like in our budget, we can at least pay, there was the different levels, we can at least pay the class fee for each person and the testing fee, but if you want the book, depending on how we stand in the next couple weeks, you may have to purchase the book on your own.
Okay,
Is that, we could at least pay the 100,
sure, we can find a book.
you know.
Books are $940 each. No.
Is it like $1,000 amount?
No, I'm sure
The
that,
class is only $12.
I'm sure that we can at least get one book, you know, and we can all share one book,
Can we?
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
why
we're
not?
close, right?
Probably find a book from somebody that's already taken it.
Right,
before,
so
like-
that's, I at least wanted to make sure that we could get the class clause
I
covered.
have one or two books.
See,
I'm not sure that they're current books, but
but they're at least
same information.
something.
Right, he's gonna teach us the wrong stuff.
Right. So my next question is, when do we want to do this? Do we want to do this? We would like, ideally, it needs to be done before July 1st because budget
Okay.
ends June 30th. So are we looking at doing it at night? Are we looking at doing it on a weekend? Help me.
Let's do it during our meeting next month.
Yes, that's a great idea.
So
What are we looking for? Like what day? We just pick a day?
you tell me and we're gonna, because it really depends on you and me, when we can all, and then we'll let,
Availability.
yeah, we'll let everybody else know, we'll open it up, if anyone else is interested, they can, you know, pay on their own.
Friday afternoon would be a very swell thing to do.
I'm here every day, so it doesn't matter.
Huh. Okay.
At your house.
Jen's house?
With
Ted's house, he has the pool. Ted's house.
I don't think we can do serve safe in the pool.
It'd be worth a try.
5th
Of what?
June,
What day of the week is that?
a Tuesday. Have to check with my secretary.
Hard to know. Sure, let's do it.
Tuesday, June 5th.
That's set in stone.
What time?
Yeah, on fire.
Because it's 3 hours.
Well, I don't get back to Dudley until 3.
What time would we like to start this?
3:02.
God.
No, seriously.
Like 4.
4? 3
So
hours,
is
that would be
it
good.
Dinner included in this?
No, we'll
We
have
can
to,
have
that can
pizza
be,
delivered.
we'll go,
Good.
after, we'll go have dinner.
Okay, so let's plan, 4 o'clock is good,
4
3
o'clock,
hours, 7.
7,
June 5th.
4 PM.
Gonna play the credit card game? Did you ever play that one?
No,
That's when you go ahead and order all you want.
Make sure you tell me.
Everybody throws a credit card in.
Daily.
Every half hour, you draw one of the credit cards out, he's exempt.
oh,
The last credit card has to pick up the tab.
Oh,
hopefully it says Jay Johnson on that credit card.
I think we can make
Okay,
that
so
happen.
that's for serve safe.
Yeah, and I'll have her get in touch, and if there's any conflicts with, he said he was pretty much available, so we'll go from there. All right, thank you. And any other old business? Anyone?
Mm-mm.
No. Any new business?
For anybody that's interested, Public Health Emergency Preparedness is having a training session on June 7th at the Charlton Library from 9 to 9:30. And there'll be a training from 9:30 to 1:30. Lunch will be provided.
Here's your
Ooh.
lunch.
Right up my alley.
Please use this link to register, so, and what it has to do with emergency preparedness and federal programs.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, this is 9
That doesn't
a.m.
interest you?
Mm,
Yes.
Oh,
I don't know if too many will
I'm
go
like
to,
PM. is
to
the
1
library
a.m.
not late? Got it.
Fifth.
That's not gonna work.
That's a Thursday night, huh? Thursday.
That's a Thursday, morning and afternoon.
Is that too early for you?
It's probably.
9 to 9:30 and then
Sorry.
1.
That's the meeting. The,
Oh,
the
9 to 1:30, basically.
Oh, and then
the
it's.
emergency preparedness meeting, and then 9:30 to 1:30 is
I think
training.
9 to 9:30 is the donut.
I like that. I'm like, that
We don't have
sounds
a lot of business.
right up my alley.
That might be something I can see about attending. All right.
Sometimes.
I'm trying to think, I feel like there's something else under new business. No? You got nothing?
I don't.
Mm-mm.
No.
You make a motion? You
Well,
done?
before,
No.
I just want to thank our newly appointed town constable for sitting in on this meeting. That was much appreciated, Mr. J. Johnson. Thank you so much.
Kept the crowd control.
Yeah, I'm glad you were here for crowd control. Thank you. We appreciate that. Yes.
Just 3 people.
Okay.
What do we
I'll
do?
entertain a motion.
Oh, I make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting closes at 7:34 PM.